guys, it's Gamer Ahmer here. So I took a trip out to Southern Fried Gaming Expo. And what did I find other than pinball machines and arcade machines? Well, I was looking for Super Nintendo games to try and go ahead and complete a full set of the Super Nintendo games. So I decided to go ahead and start another series. So this is where I stumbled upon this. I wasn't even going for this set. Now, having a love for the Nintendo 64 and buying all of the North American releases and the PAL exclusives, I realized that there were like 80 some Japanese games that I did not have in my collection. And one of the vendors at Southern Fried Gaming Expo had a massive table, tons of bins, tons of controllers, just so many different games and a lot of import games. And all of those games were $10 each. And if you bought so many of them, you got a few free. So I can't wait to show off this list here because we're going for something entirely different. We're going to try and complete the full worldwide set of Nintendo 64 games. So let's try and figure it out as I don't understand some of these games. So first up, I scored an amazing deal, and this is probably like the selling point for me. All of these games are complete in the box. They have the instructions, they have the extra paperwork, they have the cartridges. We have Custom Robo. This is actually a very fun Japanese game on the Nintendo 64, and it's really a lot of fun. A lot of people compare it to like Pokemon, and they compare it to this whole entire like battling of these robots. Now, you may recognize this name and everything else in some later games and later systems, but for the Nintendo 64 in Japan, this game was a hit. So they decided to have two of them. So the Custom Robo 1 is a really fun game. Now you pretty much just go through, you have to battle these robots, you have all of these different arenas to unlock and explore, you get to win parts for these different robots, you get to customize your characters, the weapons. It's just really a great time, and you get to like explore around. So I really have been enjoying this game. Now, I don't really understand a lot of the story, but there are some English translations of this, so that is definitely pretty cool. So this is one that you guys should keep an eye out for, and if you do like emulate and you do have those English translations, it'll make it so much easier to understand. Then on to this second game here. So here we have Custom Robo V2. So this is the second one. This is based like a year later, the newest model of the robot. So you don't need to know really like the story to play these games, but this one improved among the first. The aerial combat is a lot better, and it's very similar to the first game. So these are some fantastic finds. Definitely cannot beat these prices. So if you guys are enjoying this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that you never miss out, as I'm constantly updating some of my sets of different games that I'm collecting, and I'm always finding something cool. So make sure you guys stay tuned as we'll just continue going on and collecting as much as I can. Finding complete in-box Nintendo 64 games is just unheard of, and adding these awesome items into my collection. So I'm just thrilled to go ahead and start off this already doing so well. And then on to this game. This one actually looked pretty interesting, and it's something that I had never heard of, but just look at that box art. It's just so awesome, and this is a lot different than like sports titles. So anything on this table that was not a sports title, I definitely jumped at. Then of course I filled in some. So here we have this mystery dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2. So this is pretty interesting because you have this whole like dungeon style battle, this whole RPG game. So here you have these different demons that come to your town, and you get to have these like vivid and detailed environments. So you're running around looking for these different items, you have different power-ups. There are battles in this game, and they are a very similar style to like the turn-based battles, but just a little bit different. So this one just looked really interesting, and I'm definitely excited to go ahead and give this game a try. Now with the whole story and translation, I might have to find something a little bit different. So we'll have to see how this game actually plays. But it looks so cool with these amazing characters, this whole like cutesy style to it. just looks like a fun time, and I can't wait to explore this whole entire library of Nintendo 64 games. And then on to this game. So here we have a sports title. This is like King of Baseball games on the Nintendo 64. So this is pretty much like a different approach, as we have our American baseball games, but then this one here just looks a lot different. The whole character style and everything else aren't really like our, specific teams and things like that. So this is an interesting take on baseball, and it's really cool to see like this whole diverse baseball style games that they have over in Japan, because this was not the only one that I found complete in the box, but I did find this one. So here we just have this crazy style of like these crazy characters. Now they look rather simplistic, but it actually looks like a great time. So this game right here is, can't really pronounce it, but it's Powerful Pro Yakyu 2000. So this is like a simplistic cartoon baseball game where you have different teammates and stats. And I thought it was really cool because we have this cool little sticker on here. Now I don't understand what any of this is on here. I can't really read this whole language, but this looks like a little Bubsy character. So I thought that that was pretty neat that's on this particular box. So I just thought it was neat seeing what they have and see how it differs than the North American versions of some of these games, or even like similar style games. Now this one right here is soccer, but as they call it overseas, you have football. So this is a very interesting game because it has a crazy looking, character anime style on here. This is J-League 11-Beat 1997. So you have soccer or football. It's easy to play, and the graphics are great. So this has like this whole childlike approach with this whole anime style characters. It's fun, easy controls. They do have like the whole penalty kicks, and pretty much you are dribbling more than passing in this game. So it's a rather simple but pretty entertaining game, especially if you love football or soccer here and you just want to try something a little bit different. Now the expressions on their face are all pretty similar, so that is one thing that I noticed in this game, which I thought that they could have maybe done something a little bit more animated and, kind of added on to this particular game. But otherwise, it's a pretty fun game. And then on to this game. So this was actually a release title on the Nintendo 64, but not over here in North America. So this would have been a release title that came out with the Mario game and Wave Race. So this one is pretty interesting. So this is kind of like the Japanese version of chess, but it's a board game style. It's a strategic board game like chess, but you get to add pieces to your side. So other than that, I don't really understand it. I don't really know exactly how to play it, as I can't really read like the whole entire characters of these particular like pawns or whatever they call them. But this game is interesting to know that this was a launch title. So I just couldn't even imagine getting like a chess game over here when the Nintendo 64 came out. A lot of people just probably would not have bought that game. So I find that rather fascinating in the entire Japanese set of Nintendo 64 games. And then this one right here is another game that, you just don't see over here. We have Mahjong Master. So this game has a lot of reading and a lot going on with it. You're pretty much sitting down at a table. You are competing against 3 other people. So if you do know this game, you might be able to, go through and actually do pretty well. But if you don't know how to play it and you can't really understand it, it's a little bit difficult. Now there are different cutscenes in this game, so it's not just like a whole puzzle style or strategy style. There's like tons of reading, and you're against 3 others, so you have to use a whole strategic approach when you're going through. There are like different characters in the game and everything else. So I just thought that it was pretty interesting to add all of these complete in-box games into my Nintendo 64 collection. So I definitely had a blast at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. So not only did I get to play arcade games, pinball machines, and go hunting for Super Nintendo games, I stumbled upon this table where everything was like $10 and you got like free stuff as well. So I just could not beat that. I had to go for some games that I did not have in my set, in my collection, and I just love the Nintendo 64, and it's really cool to see some of the differing games that they got in other regions. And some of these games you can actually find like the English ports of today, so you can go through and play some of these games. So I would have to say that the custom robo games and even this whole like mystery dungeon style game, those look pretty interesting, and some of these are pretty easy to go through. Like if you know baseball and things like that, they should be pretty simple to understand and just kind of play. So what do you guys think about these games? Do you have a full worldwide set of any games? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos and stay tuned for more.